The termination letter landed on the marble reception desk with a sharp slap that echoed through the silent corporate lobby. Every employee froze as CEO Nathaniel Grayson looked straight into Ethan Cole's tired eyes and announced that his career was over. Ethan didn't argue. He didn't beg. He simply smiled, folded the letter, and quietly said, "Before I leave, check who owns this building." Within seconds, confusion spread across every face, and the confident expression on the CEO's face slowly began to disappear. Before we continue this unforgettable story, if you believe kindness always returns, people deserve second chances, and respect matters more than power, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Enlightened Story for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Ethan Cole had worked in the company for nearly 9 years. Everyone knew him as the quiet maintenance supervisor who arrived before sunrise and left long after sunset. He repaired broken elevators, fixed leaking pipes, and made sure every floor was safe before employees even stepped into the building. Few people noticed him, yet everyone depended on his work. Since losing his wife to cancer 6 years earlier, Ethan had raised his 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, completely alone. Every morning he braided her hair, packed her lunch, dropped her at school, and hurried to work before anyone noticed he had already been awake for hours. Money was always tight. Medical bills from his late wife's illness had left him drowning in debt. But Ethan never complained. He believed hard work would eventually reward him. His daughter often reminded him that heroes never quit, and those words stayed in his heart during every difficult day. When Nathaniel Grayson inherited the company after his father's retirement, everything changed. He believed every department had to become more profitable. Numbers mattered more than loyalty. Experience meant less than efficiency. Within weeks, he ordered audits, budget cuts, and staff reductions. Entire departments lived in fear of losing their jobs. Ethan tried to stay invisible. He completed every assignment perfectly, often fixing problems that weren't even his responsibility. Yet one expensive plumbing failure on the executive floor became the excuse management needed. Although the damage system had been neglected for years before Ethan was assigned to it, the blame landed entirely on him without allowing him to explain. Nathaniel ordered human resources to prepare his dismissal. As Ethan stood in the center of the lobby holding the envelope, dozens of employees watched with guilty eyes. Some wanted to defend him, but fear kept them silent. Ethan noticed every familiar face. The receptionist whose son he had helped during a medical emergency, the security guard whose mortgage he had secretly helped pay one winter, and the janitor whose broken wheelchair he had repaired without charging a penny. He wasn't angry. He was simply disappointed. He looked around the magnificent glass tower one final time. Most people saw luxury. Ethan saw memories. He remembered carrying Sophie through these halls one Christmas when the office hosted a family event. He remembered spending countless nights repairing storm damage so employees could safely return to work the next morning. This building wasn't just where he worked. It represented every sacrifice he had made for his daughter. Then Ethan quietly smiled and repeated the words that left everyone confused. "Check who owns this building." Nathaniel frowned, believing he was making one final desperate joke before security escorted him outside. He had no idea those few words were about to uncover a secret hidden for more than 20 years. The receptionist hesitated before opening the company's property database. Nathaniel crossed his arms confidently, expecting to expose Ethan's final bluff. Within moments, the receptionist's face turned pale. She looked at the screen twice before slowly turning the monitor toward the CEO. The official ownership records showed that the office tower did not belong to the corporation at all. It belonged to the Cole family trust. Silence swallowed the entire lobby. Nathaniel frowned and demanded another search, convinced there had to be some mistake. The legal department rushed downstairs, pulling up land records, tax filings, and ownership certificates. Every document confirmed the same unbelievable truth. The company leased the building. The owner was the Cole family trust, and the current trustee was Ethan Cole. The employees looked at Ethan with complete disbelief. The man they had watched repairing broken lights, cleaning flooded hallways, and carrying heavy toolboxes for nearly a decade had quietly owned the building they worked in every single day. Nathaniel's confidence disappeared. He slowly asked why a man who owned one of the city's most valuable commercial properties would spend years working as a maintenance supervisor. Ethan looked around the lobby, not with pride, but with sadness. He explained that 23 years earlier, his father had built the tower with 2 lifelong friends. Before the building officially opened, both partners died in a tragic highway accident, leaving Ethan's father as the sole owner. Instead of selling it, he created a family trust so future generations would always have security. Ethan never cared about wealth. He became an engineer because he enjoyed solving problems with his own hands. assets. After his father passed away, professional trustees managed the property while Ethan continued living an ordinary life. Very few people even knew he owned the building. He believed respect should be earned through character, not money. When his wife became seriously ill, Ethan considered selling everything to pay for her treatment. She refused. During her final weeks, she made him promise something that changed his life forever. She asked him never to let wealth define who he was, and never to raise Sophie believing money made someone more important than others. Ethan kept that promise every single day. He wore old work boots instead of expensive suits. He drove an aging pickup truck instead of luxury cars. He fixed broken equipment himself instead of ordering someone else to do it. Many employees suddenly remembered moments that now made sense. Ethan had anonymously donated thousands of dollars whenever an employee faced a family emergency. Christmas bonuses that mysteriously appeared for struggling workers had come from him. When the company cafeteria almost closed during the pandemic, an unknown donor had secretly covered its operating costs for 6 months. That donor had been Ethan. Tears filled the eyes of several employees who had once accepted his kindness without ever knowing its source. Nathaniel felt the weight of every decision he had made since becoming CEO. He had judged Ethan entirely by his uniform. He had mistaken humility for weakness and kindness for insignificance. Just then, the company's chief legal officer hurried into the lobby carrying several folders. His expression was tense. He informed Nathaniel that Ethan's trust had the legal right not only to own the property, but also to refuse renewal of the corporation's lease, which expired in just 3 months. The entire future of the company suddenly rested in the hands of the man he had fired only minutes earlier. Ethan quietly looked toward the glass entrance where sunlight poured across the polished floor. He wasn't interested in revenge. He only wanted people to understand that a person's true worth could never be measured by their job title. Nathaniel slowly lowered his head, realizing the greatest mistake of his career had nothing to do with business. It was the way he had treated a genuinely good man. The lobby remained completely silent as Ethan slowly picked up the envelope containing his termination letter. Everyone expected him to smile with satisfaction or remind the CEO that he had made a terrible mistake. Instead, he simply folded the paper and placed it inside his jacket. There was no anger in his eyes. There was only peace. Years of raising Sophie alone had taught him that revenge never healed a wounded heart. Only forgiveness did. Nathaniel took a slow step toward Ethan. For the first time since becoming CEO, he wasn't speaking to an employee. He was speaking to a man whose quiet character had revealed everything he had failed to see. His voice trembled as he admitted he had judged him by his clothes, his position, and the assumptions he had made without ever learning who he truly was. He confessed that he had spent his career believing leadership meant making hard decisions quickly, but he had forgotten that every decision affected real people with real lives. Ethan listened without interrupting. He thought about all the mornings he had left home before sunrise while Sophie was still sleeping. He remembered eating lunch alone in the maintenance room, missing school events because of emergency repairs, and working overtime to make sure everyone else could do their jobs comfortably. None of those sacrifices had ever been about recognition. They had been about providing a better future for his daughter and honoring the promise he had made to his late wife. Nathaniel quietly asked if there was anything he could do to make things right. Ethan looked around the magnificent building one last time before answering. He explained that this building had never been his greatest achievement. Owning property was simply something he had inherited. What truly mattered was the legacy people left behind.